this thing, and this came out in Daily Mail. We got a fertility recession coming up. And this is not surprising because of the technological advances, the internet. People are not becoming more insular. They have a thing here where, I don't know if this stat is true, but they said like 1 in 10 men in their 30s are virgins.
Yeah, I heard about that.
You saw that? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And speaking of programs, I was too young to watch The Laughing, except on rerun. And I've been watching a lot of these old programs like Magnum PI and Chips. Remember Chips?
Oh, yeah, with Eric Estrada and the other guy.
And interesting thing about this show is I like the way they were able to fit in community events. And they never pulled a gun on, they never shot off a gun, I noticed, watching a lot of episodes recently. They never shot at anybody with a gun. It was all like diffused with communication and a different tactic. And one of the episodes, they had a guy who was the officer tell Ponch saying, I go to all these fun events, but I don't make friends. How about that statement?
I remember that. That's right. And Ponch was Eric Estrada.
Yeah, and I was waiting for a response, but it was like that silence. I guess it was kind of like a shocking statement. But that statement back in the 80s is not too rough nowadays with everybody being so insular.
Well, that's true too.
Yeah.
How do you think things are happening these days, Edward? Are you concerned about the future?
Yeah, I'm very concerned, and I'm somebody who I actually was in Chicago when I took my mother here because I didn't want her being in these institutions.
Did you get zapped by the hurricane? Adelia hit you guys much?
Yeah, I survived because I'm near Busch Gardens, so I survived that.
Good.
And I have this because I used to call about international terrorism, but now my thing after COVID is mental health and the economy. Those are like the two big issues. I call a bunch of radio stations, and those are almost like the top of my list as far as calling in.
Do they get it?
In my perfect world, yeah, I was gonna say, in my perfect world, I would not have an internet. In my perfect world, I would not have an internet. People would be working more. People would be making more friends. People would be getting married. The works.
Interesting take on that. Interesting take on that at all. The internet has been a valuable tool for us. I mean, in the old talk show days, we go into the studio with 45 newspaper clippings with stories and articles and things like that. Nowadays, everything is quick and concise and stuff, so it's got its blessings too. But I'm not sure I'd want to do away with the internet. And I'm not sure about controls either. Let's go next to James in Virginia. Hello, Jim. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, George. How are you?
I'm great. How about you?
Well, I'm doing fine. Sometimes I get a little frustrated because I'm very familiar with Revelation in the Bible, and I can't understand why more people, and to be honest with you, more ministers aren't informing people that we're in Revelation times. I always ask permission to mention my book if that's okay. You're always really kind about.
It's a Friday night. Go for it.
Okay, thanks, George. And then I think my book, I asked the Holy Spirit to write my book. I never want to make that mistake because I got so much hope in this book. There's no way I could have done this book. It's called Blessed with an Angel and a Rainbow. And anyway, it has a lot of my supernatural few things that happen to me, not tons of things, but enough things that if they're supernatural, that's a lot right there. And I had a lot of signs in this book. Even when I just woke up tonight, I woke up and I thought, hey, that's George on the program there. I wonder if I should call. I opened my phone up and it was 316, like John 316. So yeah, I better call. I think that's a good sign. And when I got through the dialing, it was 317, which kind of goes on from 316 about God didn't condemn the world. He sent his son in to save the world.
What compelled you to write the book, Jim?
I was working on, I think this happened when I was first with Art Bell. And I was just out of high school, and I was in the living room. My mother had gone to bed, my friend had gone home, and I heard a guy on the radio talking about all these things about Russia, this and there, and this, and in the Revelation and all that, and I just opened the Bible to see, and somehow I ended up at the end of the Bible, and it told you don't add or subtract to it, and so I thought, well, maybe this guy maybe he's adding and didn't know I just want to let him know that there's warnings at the end of the Bible not to change Revelation, and that got me into it. And then my mother's funeral, there was something happened there, but I wrote the book because I had as time went by with Revelation and after my mother's funeral, I really got into Revelation more. Again, signs, George, too, but a compulsion to from these signs to help people. And this is it's sort of like, I don't want to call it a handbook because that's not, for the Bible. You don't want to compare anything to the Bible. But this has a whole bunch of Bible chapters and verses, and it just highlights certain ones with topics. So it makes it real easy for someone to go, oh, well, this is about the four horses. And then there's a part, like in Revelation, in the third horse, for instance, they talk about wheat and barley, a lot of denarius, I guess, for wheat and barley. Well, that's just what's happening in Ukraine right now with the grain.
Absolutely. Are you on Amazon with the book?
I'm sorry? Yeah, I'm on Amazon with the book, George. Again, it's the Holy Spirit wrote the book. You get, when you're hooked up to the Holy Spirit, George, it's like, I tell people, it's like being hooked up to the Starship Enterprise computer, You get so much more help with your brain power, to recall things and write things. And then go from there and zero in on, hey, here's that chapter. And for instance, we're somehow being apparently the rapture's coming and not that long, but we're not even aware that the four horses are really running. We're not hearing that much from people, from the pastor. You had a pastor on a long time ago that said the churches have been infiltrated and they're not going to tell us things. And to be honest with you, I've gone into a few churches myself and talked to the minister. And they want to get me off the topic of Revelation and into other parts of the Bible. They don't, either they don't know it or they just don't want to talk about it.
I think what it does, though, Jim, I think it scares a lot of people, indeed. But they keep in touch, and if the rapture happens, let's be ready for it. Let's go to Ed in Charlotte, North Carolina. Hello, Edward.
Hey, George. Thanks for taking the call.
Sure.
I just want to let you know, I talked to you a number of months back about how you help people. You just mentioned the holidays, the schedule. What happened in your lives, you got to be saving that you don't even realize how many it must be, since you seem to have a huge audience from what you say. So it's got to multiply itself tremendously. And I want you to know that two things you really helped me with is, one is coincidences as being significant. And that has really helped me change things in my life. And you're right, I think they're not accidental, thanks to you. And also about helping people that are homeless by giving them money. Now, I go to the post office because I mail some things out most days, and they hang out there. And I've always been told they'll buy alcohol. And so I offer to take them to get a meal. And once in a while, one will do it, but most times they won't. One guy I took to get a meal, I mean, my gosh, he couldn't help it. Tears were just rolling down his cheek. He ate. He kept thanking me. But I decided, I think you're right. I decided I'd start giving some of these people money, and even if they're going to go buy alcohol. Now, one guy was in a wheelchair, and I said, you must have COPD. And he looked shocked. He looked at me, how do you know? I said, well, you got the tube up your nose. He said, oh, yeah. So this guy said, and he said, well, I don't know. He doesn't use alcohol. He said, he said, I have nothing. He said, I don't know where my next meal is going to come from. He's in a wheelchair. And so I talked to him, and I said, and so I started giving people a whole lot more money, like you said, even knowing they might buy alcohol or something. But anyway, I also talked to him, and he said, I don't use alcohol. He said, but I said, well, have you thought about trying to look into a job, even though you're in a chair? And I said, I mean, what about go to your church and see if people maybe they can give you something to do, give you something. And he said, well, you might be right, because when our people in church, people are breaking in their cars in the parking lot. And he said I could maybe, go out and patrol the parking lot. And so I've given him money. He's been there twice. I've given him a good amount. And another guy, pretty rough looking, and I gave him some, and I said, you might ought to know about getting a job. You can get hold of yourself. You can straighten everything out. Just work at it. And he said, I've got a pin in both legs and my shoulder. And I said, well, have you thought about taking a job where you don't have to stand up or physically do things? He said, well, that's a good idea. I hadn't thought of that. So I want you to know you've had an influence, and I certainly am doing that, and I thank you for that. And then one thing I'd like to ask you is, the other night I called in about the pyramid guy, and I mentioned about the blue blade in the cardboard little box resharpening itself. And you said something to him, and I had trouble hearing him, but it sounded like he said they put some, I don't know if it's a sword or something, in one of their big pyramids or in the top, and something about it sharpening in an hour or two or something. You seem to be real shocked and surprised.
Yeah, it was a sword, and he said that the pyramid sharpened his a dull sword, and it's baffling to me, but it works.
Yeah, I know sometimes I say things people think are crazy, but I mean, I don't say something if I'm not real sure of it. In fact, one person that described me to somebody said, he may say something that comes out of anybody else's mouth, they're full of force maneuver, but if Fred said, if you got to get something in the background with Ed's ideas, if crazier it sounds, the more chance it has of being right, because he knows I don't want to ruin my reputation.
All right, Eddie, I love what you're doing, and thanks for the compliments. Last text and tweet, Tom, what do we have?
George from William in Kentucky. Is there something you see in your daily travels that you think should be made illegal?
Daily travels that should be illegal?
I like this question.
People who are really ticked off. Have you noticed the fights on planes?
On planes?
Have you seen the videos on some of these things?
Oh, I've watched some of those, yeah.
There was one lady who went absolutely ballistic. She thought the guy next to her was some kind of robot person.
Well, I wouldn't say
she went nuts.
I wouldn't say it, but I don't think he would mind. Our own Dr. Sky and it was his brother or his friend tackled a guy on a plane who punched a flight attendant.
Yeah, he told us that.
They were heroes. Yeah. So weirdness. So you'd make that illegal, though?
It is illegal. I mean, the police wait for these people. They make quick landings and things like that. I mean, there's no place to be on a plane to go crazy like that.
I think I'd give...
Why are people so uptight?
That's a great question. Maybe they're scared.
I don't know. Let's go to the final calls here. Let's go to Jim in Portland, Oregon. Hey, Jim, go ahead.
George, I was wondering if any of your guests on the other side of the Atlantic, like Malcolm Robinson was on the other night, have they ever investigated Kerrigan's Keep? I think it's in County Clare in the west coast of Ireland. Sounds like a truly haunted and truly evil place.
The next time we talk to an international researcher like that, I'll ask them that. I have not heard any guests to date to bring that up. But we'll do. How haunted is it? What made it haunted, in your opinion?
Oh, well, I think back in the 1200s, 1300s, or 1400s, the O'Downeys and the Kerrigans were at war, hostilities, and the Kerrigans invited them over for peace talks and maybe a peace meal. But they, so they came unarmed. But at first, the Kerrigans were unarmed, but not all of them. And they murdered them, buried them under the flagstone floor. And they figured, we'll dance on their bones. And after that, the troubles began. I guess. Sounds at night. It was pretty awful. And maybe if people would go in there, they'd see the floor roll like an ocean wave or an ocean swell, and maybe the ghosts skeletons would pop out and throw flagstones. And there was sometime I think in the 17 or 1800s, an exorcist went in there. And it was more than he could handle. He started running in a blind panic. They tackled him because there's cliffs nearby in the ocean below. He was never the same afterwards. I read something on the internet. I read this in a book at my parents' house. I think it was Ghosts in Irish Houses. And then I was reading it on the internet, and I was reading what this one somebody wrote, and he went a long ways to see it, and he asked one of the locals. It's a small village, and says, "Do you know where it is?" And I think the guy was a barista, the coffee house. He says, "Yeah, you sure you want to go there?" I wouldn't recommend. I feel I think it's an evil place. I wouldn't recommend people go there, but if they've been there, maybe they could tell us what it was like. It's really creepy. You can Google it up on the internet; it'll pop up in a hurry. But it sounds like a terribly haunted and evil place.
Okay, I'll have Joshua P. Warren check into that too. Thanks. Appreciate that, Jim. Let's go to Joan in Normal, Illinois. Hello, Joni.
Hi. My dad was a union worker down in St. Louis for McDonald Doug, because he said he's not for the working man. But ironically, my dad passed away the same day Nixon.
Oh, geez, that's strange. And McDonnell Douglas, of course, got bought out by Boeing. Great company, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Did you live in St. Louis for a while?
All my life until like 1979, when we moved up to Bloomington Normal, where my husband's family is.
They're both great states, aren't they? Missouri and Illinois?
Yeah, I'm from University City, actually.
Oh, know it well. Know it very well. Great old houses out there.
And good education. I appreciate it more than ever, because it was a diverse group of people, and just great education. Not like high schools are today, where they cut out everything, cut out music, cut out...
Did you go to University City High?
Yeah, 1971, class of 71.
Class of 71. I bet you went to school with some people I know.
Yeah.
1971 would have been... no, they went a couple years before you. They graduated in 67.
But it was turbulent times and anti-war movement and all kinds of things.
How long you been listening to our show, Jody?
Back when Art Bell.
Oh, you go way back.
Yeah. Art Bell and Ramona.
Times have changed, haven't they?
Yeah, and what was the father who did the exorcism? I'm trying to remember.
Malachi Martin.
Yeah.
Long time ago. All right, Joan, thank you. Yeah, it's hard to believe Art's been gone 5 years. Going on 6. Wow. Where has the time? I remember that night on the air, too. I mean, I just didn't believe the story. And I was not going to go with it until we got it corroborated, and George Knapp was able to do that for us in Las Vegas. Anyways, we're going to come back and do a little paranormal talk with the late Stanton Friedman on UFOs. And welcome back to Coast. So many predominant UFO sightings. One of those was, of course, the Roswell, New Mexico incident. And who better to discuss it than the godfather of Roswell, the late Stanton Friedman. Stanton Friedman, back on Coast to Coast. I love that story, Stan.
You do. I was younger then, too, George.
Well, I was going to say, Roswell's 70 years old. Do you beat that or not?
Well, I'll be 83 on Saturday.
Oh, my gosh. Good for you. How are you feeling these days?
I'm feeling great. I mean, I'm not 25, but still, and I don't run around the block every morning or anything like that.
And where have we found you today? Are you in Canada?
I'm in Fredericton, New Brunswick, Canada, 73 miles east of beautiful downtown Holton, Maine.
Where your post office
time zone, you understand. 4 hours ahead of you, George.
I know it. I got you up really early. That's how devoted you are to this audience and to what you do, Stan, to be sure. Lots going on in the field of ufology. Lots going on. Now, the 25th annual Roswell UFO Festival had record attendance this year.
Yeah.
Give me an overview of that.
Well, there were over 7,000 people there, which doesn't sound like many to people living in Los Angeles, but when you figure Roswell's in the middle of nowhere, that
200 miles to Albuquerque, 200 miles to Amarillo, 200 miles to El Paso. If you're there, it's because you want to be there, because it's not on the way to anywhere. And there were, a lot of people go there every year, but this year the attendance was up 70%.
Wow.
And
That's huge.
I did see 2 tin hats there, I think.
Uh-huh.